Hey everyone, Miss Molly again with a short video on how to write your analysis conclusion. This is for the paragraph that you're writing about a short story. So if you look at our list of things we need to remember to do, we start yet again with rereading that theme statement. So we've come back to this theme statement with each step along the way. That theme statement is critical. We have to think about what the author is trying to say. So, in other words, what was the lesson or the moral or the message of the story? Because that's what we wrote in our theme statement. But now, when we're concluding this paragraph, we need to use some synonyms, or we need to, another word we use is to paraphrase our theme statement. We need to say it in a different way. And there's a couple different things you can do. One, you can use the thesaurus to help you find some synonyms. So this is very useful, and here's a link to a thesaurus. Otherwise, just in your own mind, brainstorm some synonyms, and I would focus on the verbs. You want to focus on those strong, making those strong verbs and finding some synonyms for them. Lastly, I want to point out that this is the visual I'm using, the symbol of this arrow that repeats, because you're going back to the beginning, you're restating something, but if you notice the arrows are different colors, this is critical. You can't just repeat your theme statement. You have to add a little bit of something novel or new to your statement. So let's look at my example. Check out what I've written so far. I've got my introduction sentence, I've got my theme statement in yellow, or this cornflower color. And then in green, I've got that background information for my quote. Red is my quote. And then more green, that is my commentary, explaining my quote and how it relates to the theme statement. And back here, I'm now using yellow again because I'm returning to the theme statement, but trying to say it in a different way. So here's what I wrote. Tan's use of imagery throughout the story illustrates the many struggles that adolescents find as they grow and change. Their familiar home culture often contrasts with the different cultural norms they encounter in other settings. So that's the restatement. If you notice, I have switched from talking about Amy, the character specifically, to talking about a general, the universal aspect that adolescence, which means teenagers. So I'm no longer talking about just Amy in the story. I'm saying that Tan is actually talking about all of us when we're teenagers. So I've switched that use of person. I'm not talking about the third person. I'm singular. I'm talking about third person general, plural. And then I also happen to include, which is on our list, it says rewrite the fourth step, rewrite your thesis using synonyms and include a literary element. So if you really want to knock it out of the park, you might include something like Tan's use of imagery or hyperbole or one of those literary elements we've discussed in class. Again, you can drop those references throughout your commentary. You could drop it in your theme statement, anywhere you want to mention it that makes sense. Those literary elements help to um, show that you understand the techniques that go into being an author. That last sentence that I have in Fish Cheeks, Tan highlights these contrasts through both relatable yet unique examples. Again, I just want to point out that I used relatable because, again, this has to be universal, and yet it's not going to be interesting unless she makes a story have some unique elements to it. So that is how I ended my. I think this is going to score like off the charts on the rubric. Not to brag, but I hope this has helped.